When Ryan's when it's time to begin, it's on the Rewind Around with John Pollock and Wai Ting. The 18 that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Rewind Around for Monday night. Download it Tuesday morning from the Post Wrestling site. It's Rewind Around for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the mic.
Damn, you were fast on the draw there.
You know what? So I don't like talking about like StreamYard, like our broadcasting like platforms.
I love it.
Who gives a shit? But they've made some changes, and I have to say, at least on first week, it's a welcome improvement.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it because man, I didn't even give you my traditional tee up there, and boom, were you fast.
We've developed a bit of a rapport by now, I would say. Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody to Rewind to Raw. Raw is coming up momentarily, but we do want to make mention. It is a packed week here at Post Wrestling. Want to make note of some of the stuff that is coming up. Of course, Braden and Davey are going to be filing one more show on Tuesday night before they get on a plane and head off to Texas. I assume they're flying. They're not driving, are they?
I don't think so.
With Braden, I never know. Sometimes he's a driving machine. But yes, they are going to be at All In Texas this coming weekend, so you can hear about their planning and their final thoughts on NXT going into the big weekend. That'll be up Tuesday night on the show. Also dropping on Tuesday, a special interview that I just conducted with the undisputed British heavyweight champion himself, Michael Oku. He is going to be a part of some of Rev Pro's big cards coming up. They're doing their Summer Sizzler show later this month. They're doing their 13th anniversary cards over Forbidden Door weekend. And here is a preview of that chat with some of the more pressing, interesting topics with Michael Oku, including securing a U.S. visa. There was the note in the Observer a couple of weeks ago about yourself at Amira securing U.S. visas. Is that the case? And I'm kind of curious, if so, what that process is like to go through, the amount of time to secure a U.S. visa.
Yeah, no, that's 100% the case. Myself and Amira, we have U.S. visas now. We got the visas a few months ago, and that's what helped us with getting the booking in Vegas as well as getting the gig at Ring of Honor. It's an arduous process. It's just a lot of forms, to be honest with you. It's just a lot of forms, a lot of paperwork. I'll give a shout out to Progress Wrestling. They were helpful with the visa process as well. And it's just something where we saw it as an opportunity of like, okay, this is something that we've had so much interest from US promotions that we want to strike on it. And we want to do a combination. I mean, we are super busy in Europe already. We got so much bookings in Europe, but we want to find the spaces we have to find valuable and really cool, interesting matches, opponents, and promotions to work for in the US. So, yeah, we've got a visa, and we're looking to use it.
Is it fair to say that at this point you are not under contract to like an AEW or any US-based promotion?
Yeah, no, that's correct. We're not under contract. So which is why it's very cool that again we've been brought down many times by AEW, and we've worked with them. But yeah, not contracted, but we have a visa.
AEW obviously has a huge week leading up to their All in Texas show on Saturday. They have Supercard of Honor on Friday night. Are you going to be in Texas this week?
Well, there's a lot of shows happening in Texas, so. Again, we're talking about having a working US visa, and there's a lot of indie promotions that are coming into town for All in Texas. So, you
might be doing some sightseeing in Texas. I might
be doing some sightseeing. There's a lot of friends that I have in Texas, so maybe I'll be there. And listen, Omega vs. Okada is there, so who knows? Maybe I want to see that in person.
All right, so that is Michael Oku talking about his contract status, getting his visa. We had a lengthy discussion as well, talking about not just the series of Will Ospreay matches, but especially the last match he had just over a year ago, which got the vaunted 6 stars. And we talked about that and just kind of navigating as an independent wrestler at a time when, contracts are coming to performers a lot earlier in their careers, and kind of what a lot of the talent are thinking about that in this current wrestling environment. So that interview will be up Tuesday for everybody at postwrestling.com. Also up early this week for patrons, 3,000 words on the career of Bill Goldberg. If you want to go check that out, that is exclusive today for Post Wrestling Cafe subscribers. We'll be putting it out later on this week. But if you want to look back at the history of Bill Goldberg, an interesting career to say the least, from his WCW tenure, his not so great WWE run of 2003, the comeback in 2016, and leading up to this retirement, and how he's been viewed for a lot of these kind of makeshift title challenges that he's had over these last couple of years, and how this character kind of is going to be looked back on, because this was a clear-cut difference maker at a time in WCW that you can legitimately look at Goldberg as someone that extended that time for WCW in 1998, when he came along pretty much out of nowhere and just became this phenomenon if you were watching at the time in 1998.
You also recorded audio.
Oh, that's right.
Well.
You can also listen to this if you're not a reader as well. So we make it easy for everybody on the Post Wrestling Cafe. And final note for Cafe members is that coming up this week, we're going to be going through Vengeance 2005 on Rewind Away. We're going back 20 years to Las Vegas for a show that features a Hell in a Cell match between Triple H and Batista, John Cena, Christian, and Chris Jericho for the WWE title, and the WrestleMania rematch between Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle, all taking second fiddle to the main event of the show, and that is Lillian Garcia singing for and proposing to Viscera.
I was not watching at this time, and
I was,
I'm
and
glad.
there was not an ounce of my brain that retained any memory of this segment. That is certainly needs to be seen to be believed, and we will do that this coming Thursday. WWE 2005, never a dull moment.
Did it make you that much more grateful for everything we have today?
I'll have a lot to say about this show. This was one of those shows where it just feels like a random pay-per-view thrown our way, but my goodness, it's there's a lot to this show from 20 years ago. So that's coming up on Thursday. Postwrestling.com, postwrestlingcafe.com. We now shift focus to Raw, and we have Providence, Rhode Island hosting tonight's show in front of a number put out by WrestleTix of how many did we have here? Almost 9,000 by last count. And this was the night of the Seth Riders.
Still without an official name, but
Seth Riders as they're handing out names, what's more vital? This group getting a name or finding the latest nickname for Paul Heyman? Like, to me, this group takes the priority, like from the Oracle.
Maybe something tells me that they either are just at a complete stalemate about making a unanimous decision about the name of this group, or maybe there's some sort of copyright hold up that they're waiting for. Whereas I guess with Heyman, it's just whatever he feels like that week.
Okay, well, I just don't want to be typing out all their names, so it's the Seth Riders until further some update is made. Yes. They come out. They are complete baby faces to this crowd. They're singing for Seth. They're barking for Braun. They're staring at Bronson Reed. Not really a definable trait for the fans to show their support of Bronson Reed yet, but for the other two so far.
Maybe the wave, like they could do the wave for him.
Okay,
Tsunami?
maybe. Yeah. Like when Heyman did his intro, like this whole place screamed his name when they came out. Like this just felt like the most over babyface group at the start of this show. And this was a very hot crowd for a lot of this show.
Yeah, I mean, in modern wrestling, just because like you might be chantable or like people might do your signature taunt, I don't necessarily think that doesn't make you a babyface. They still get booed at appropriate places, I think.
Well, Heyman goes to hand the mic to Seth, but Breakker snatches the mic away, and he addresses Sami Zayn. Says, I have a vision of a WWE without Sami Zayn. I don't like him. I don't like his face. I don't like his beard. I don't like his music. And he got so worked up, his voice cracked at such a level that there was a pitch so high, I thought there was going to be a mirror that shattered. It was so high, and Braun just like took a second to regain.
I think he's just speaking Steiner. He's born with that crack in his voice, I think.
Well, he continues, says that Zayn has the athletic ability of a dead fish. He didn't play sports. He doesn't go to the gym. And he's got an expiration date that I'm going to stamp. And if Sami comes out, I'm going to maul him. And this was a great promo from Bron Breakker, and kind of a rare time that they've given him like a chance to speak on the main roster. And unlike what we have talked about with a lot of other groups, where it's like kind of the default talker for the group, like this was almost interesting to watch. Like Seth Rollins was the one who did none of the talking. It was everybody else. And then at the end, Seth just signed off. So it's trying to position these guys as more than just, background characters. It's like, it's the opposite of this family tree where it's Sikoa just doing all the talking for everybody.
Yeah, well, with these two, it's certainly about time. We've seen both of them be capable of talking for themselves in the past. And I would also say, like, we've had many weeks of the Seth Riders, and every single week it's just Rollins coming out and doing his thing. And he does his thing well enough, gets a decent enough reaction, but it's at the point where I'm certainly kind of bored of just hearing the same, like, I'm going to take over the WWE type of speech. So tonight offered something at least very different and memorable. And I thought both of them, Reed and Breakker, sounded very good.
So Reed wants his turn to speak. He says that him and Seth, they have built respect with one another after I destroyed him with 6 tsunamis. That's nice to hear. Seth is a very forgiving guy.
That's how you make friends.
Yeah. It's like if I ever got like, if I was the victim of a hit and run and I found out the driver, they're like, respect.
Oh, yeah.
So very, very kind of Seth. He says that he is going to now target Jey Uso, and he will tsunami some respect into Jey. Heyman's turn, and he says that tonight the Empire strikes back before correcting himself and stating strikes first.
I feel like that was probably an intentional like scripting, right? Because you can't just start off by saying the Empire strikes first.
Okay.
He should have said A New Hope.
Yeah, maybe that can be their name.
Yeah, A New Hope. No, I don't think so. Yeah.
He says that he can't follow Bron's promo. Apparently he could follow Bronson's promo, according to his own wording here. So He says that Roman Reigns doesn't have the balls to come back and stand up to us. So that leads to a big OTC chant. And did we just book SummerSlam right there?
Well, like Punk, I think is still like lingering here. They're drawing a lot of association between Rollins and Punk, so people are suspecting that match for SummerSlam. Now they're making a big point about reintroducing Roman into the conversation as well. So one of those could not happen, or we could be getting another triple threat.
Yeah. There's also like tonight was obvious about really elevating Reed and Breakker as well. And I wouldn't discount them from the mix. Like Reigns and Rollins is a big match that you can get to. And I don't know if you have to get to it at SummerSlam. Like it is a big show, but they're also, you can, it was introduced here. Certainly I would expect Reigns to probably be back sometime, once they get through this weekend shows. And he calls Rollins the biggest box office attraction in the business, and he'll face Penta tonight. He said, I'm not. He then starts to speak Spanish, and I don't know what he said here, but he is not bougie enough to understand Penta's hand signals, but you're not going to be able to do those hand signals once Rollins is done for you. And this crowd, they had like deafening CM Punk chants, and this would continue in the main event. I was actually stunned. It actually made no sense for Punk to get involved here because Rollins is involved in another match on Saturday, but man, did this crowd they were going to explode if Punk came out for any portion of this show.
Yeah. I mean, despite what the online discussion may be,
there's been no crossover on television.
Still one of the biggest stars in professional wrestling, and certainly like in terms of like live responses, I don't think you'll see any sort of negativity towards CM Punk reflected in a lesser pop or even boos or anything like that. It's certainly not the case tonight. To me, the promo, like this segment was notable for Bron Breakker actually, getting to speak, and also for actually giving us an explanation for why he joined the Seth Riders in the first place. He basically revealed here that it's because Rollins and Heyman essentially like
said he would be the face of the company for the next 2 decades.
That's part of the vision. That's part of Rollins and Heyman's vision for this. And you can understand why he would want to join a faction that essentially in the future wants to promote you as the face of the company for the next 20 years, John, you and I are going to be 60. We're going to be 61. And Bron Breakker will be main eventing this. We won't even be using Netflix. The Netflix deal will just have been over. Okay,
You're right. This will eclipse.
we'll
the
be moved
Netflix
on
deal.
to like the next thing, like the microchip in our brain. You know, we'll be like walking our robot dogs, or they'll be walking us, pushing us in our wheelchairs. And Bron Breakker will be the face of the WWE.
60 is not like we're not going to be like on our deathbed at 61. I
You
hope
just
we're
never
not.
know. You
We
never
could
know,
be.
man.
I will promise you this though. I don't know if we're going to be getting Braun bell-to-bell performances at the age of 47 to the degree we are now. I mean, this guy.
That's hold on a second. That's 11 years younger than Bill Goldberg is heading into his retirement match. Okay,
It's true. It's true. This guy does more in his matches than Bill Goldberg did in his matches. Like he's doing crazy stuff on every TV match.
but you don't know what stem cells are going to be like, in
That's
20
right.
years.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which Bill did get in preparation for this, so he's all stemmed
he
up.
did.
Oh yeah. I thought you were.
No,
Yeah,
I didn't know
he
that.
said he would not have been able to do this without getting his like stem cell treatment earlier this year. So yeah, the stems are huge, man. Judgment Day are in the back. Balor's shining up all of their titles, and they have crafted a memorial site for Liv Morgan. I thought this was hilarious. And Raquel walks in to inform them, she's still alive. But then Balor says, I missed 8 months with my shoulder injury. It could be a long time before we see her again. I thought this was very funny. And then there's a get well soon cake directed at Dom, and it's revealed to be from AJ. Dom turns around, and there is AJ behind a curtain, and he makes the signal that I've got my eyes on you. A rare, funny moment involving AJ that was intentionally funny.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's so rare these days, because remember last week we got Uncle Alan with the glasses. This week we got him doing the De Niro from Meet the Parents. So I get the sense this is a sustained attempt at making AJ the fun dad of the WWE.
Well, it worked better. The glasses bit was all right. This was funny, and AJ's not the funniest guy.
I'm enjoying this. It's a very fresh approach to AJ. We've seen, the whatever phenomenal AJ Styles. We've seen Lone Wolf AJ Styles. We've seen Ice Bath AJ Styles. Now we are getting fun dad AJ Styles, which I'm very much looking forward to. I think it's made him more likable, and it's getting some strong reactions.
Easy night's work for AJ as well.
Well, he's realizing, okay, I'm getting a bit older in age. Stem cells are expensive. I'm gonna put on my glasses and it'd be funny.
Kairi Sane took on Roxanne Perez. This had a really rough start. So Perez, at one point, she's coming at Kairi, and Kairi thinks that, I guess, that Roxanne was going to grab her by the hair, but instead she goes for her eyes. And Sane takes a back bump off of this dreaded eye poke. So then Perez is expecting a leap from a vertical leap by Kairi, whose feet don't leave the mat. So Roxanne just has to go straight like she's running, and Kairi tries to turn this into a sunset flip attempt, and Perez blocks. I'm thinking this is just falling apart, but to their credit, they kind of just slowed down, and the rest of it, I wouldn't say they had too many problems. And this thing did go 11 and a half minutes. There was this nice Mahistral cradle into a European clutch by Perez. Sane hit the cutlass, which is her spinning back fist, and Perez then sends her off the top, attacks the wrist, and Perez snaps the arm, and they compare it to Penta's sacrifice. Sane comes back, though. Insane elbow is attempted, but Raquel pulls Perez to the floor, so Sane leaps on top of Raquel, and Perez is able to capitalize, pulls her into the ring, goes for pop rocks, and Sane counters into a backslide, pinning Perez in 11:35.
Yeah, I definitely think the match was a little messy at parts, and this sort of messiness isn't really sort of like that unusual now for Kairi Sane matches. Like this run she's had has kind of been full of little moments like that. So I really do wonder like if that's sort of been worked out, or if it's even been worked on. But listen, like this sort of thing happens all the time, and they crammed so much into the rest of this match, and they were so ambitious with the rest of this match that they managed to execute pretty well, that I got into this by the end, and it seemed like the crowd did as well.
They had a very good crowd tonight, and I'll say that if you're going to have like 60 seconds of two people off on totally different pages, you want it early in the match and not at the end of the match. And they were able, I thought, to turn around and not have like this blowaway match, but they got on the same page, and I was with you. I thought that they made a nice recovery for the back half of the match, and then the audience elevated it too. Then we go to Raquel and Perez attacking Kairi. When Asuka runs out, they're fighting. Raquel lifts up Asuka for a Tejana bomb, and she's just holding her there until Kairi is there to make the save. So there was kind of the world standing still moment. And a hip attack sends Raquel off the edge, holds Perez in place for an insane elbow. And ladies and gentlemen, Team Raw has been established for this 4-way tag title match, just swooping past poor Natalya and Maxine.
Yeah, I'm like in my head, I'm trying to actively think who the actual tag teams are on the show, on Raw. Like, who else are there?
This is it, dude.
Like seriously, is there no other tag team than Natalya and there's got to be something else, right? I'm trying to
Ivy Nile doesn't have a partner. Like Dakota Kai's gone.
Like I don't even know if Maxine and Natalya should really be considered a team. How often have they actually tagged together? They have a T-shirt.
They do segments together backstage, so that's enough. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Right. That's Team Raw. I mean, it's not like they came up with a match to find out who this was it. You do a run-in for a save, you've got a tag title match, and that was that.
Yeah, so. I'm not complaining. I think that this is a good use of them as any. Yeah, we'll see how the match is.
Jackie is with Sami Zayn. He's got the ribs busted up. He admits, I have way too much on my plate, but I can't worry about carrying Cross tonight. I'm in there with Braun, and he's one of the most dangerous people on the planet. I'll deal with Cross later. And Zayn walks away. Scarlett walks in, and Jackie says, do you have anything to say? And her answer was, quote, no.
Which has been par for the course for her entire existence in the WWE.
I wish I was here for this segment, and then cut, nailed it.
This might have been the longest promo she's actually had in 3 years.
She has had too many words in this run, so this was this was two letters coming together to form an answer.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Adam Pearce,
she has spoken less than people who don't speak English in this company.
Ooh, funny if this put subtitles underneath this.
Oh, yeah.
Pierce is with Alpha Academy, and they're confused. How is El Grande Americano wrestling? Pierce says, what would Chad Gable have anything to do with El Grande Americano? Niall is then approved to be in the Battle Royal. I don't know who got turned down for the Battle Royal. That's the answer I would want. Like,
how many spots are there?
Unlimited is my understanding.
I'm guessing
anyone who's a woman on this roster that isn't booked, you're in the Battle Royal. That's kind of how it sounds like. Or your opponent is injured. Asuka and Sane walk in. They want to team up. And Pierce is like, hey, you want to wrestle for the tag titles? I know they're not a big deal, but it's this pay-per-view we're doing Sunday. It'd be cool if you'd be in the match. Sure, let's do it.
No. We just wanted to team up. No, please.
We don't want this commitment with these belts. They're going to be a nightmare at TSA, so we're good.
Yeah. So I find it kind of amusing that like American Made are making sort of like no signs that they want to get revenge for the person who took out their leader and friend in Chad Gable. Even Chad Gable is showing no signs that he wants any sort of revenge at Penta for breaking his arm.
It really does confuse me about, like, I understand why they called up the Creeds and had this idea, but these guys should be doing something. Like, they're not even in this tag division that sorely needs teams. Like, these are two guys that are just, like, they'd be much better off doing anything but just these backstage segments every week on Raw. Like, outside of the occasional main event match, like, they don't wrestle at all. Like, they're doing nothing on this main roster.
I think they're very much focusing on developing their personalities and characters. And I don't know if they know what to do with them in ring. Because I don't think they have anything like sustained that they're planning for them.
You know what this is like? You know what game? You know what game I've gotten back into recently?
What's that?
The famed baseball mogul.
You're back into baseball mogul. Wow.
I was
coming
named
out of retirement.
I was pulled in by the 1977 Toronto Blue Jays to be their general manager, and for our expansion season, we had a god awful team. We were the worst team in the entire major leagues. But I had this dilemma, okay, because you're using real players, so I know who's in my farm system and who's going to become good players. And, one of the early breakout players for the Jays on that expansion team was Doug Alt. I think he hit the first home run at Exhibition Stadium, and he's in my farm system. So midway through the season, I'm just, dude, we can't buy a win. So I move him up. I call him up from the farm system, and I'm realizing through my simulation, like, this guy's getting no at-bats. He's just on the bench. And I decided to demote him back to the farm system where he's playing daily. His progress is going to be that much more. Like, what good is he doing for his career? I want this guy to be good by 1980. 1977, he's riding the bench. So I put him back into AAA, and maybe that's where the Creed should be. They too should be in AAA.
I was going to say the problem is...
The Doug Alt of the Raw roster.
Well, I was going to say the problem is, okay, you put the Creeds back into, let's say, NXT. They're still not going to wrestle every single day.
They're not, but they, to me, would be at least... Like, you could put the tag belts on these guys. You could at least be... They could be doing TNA stuff. Like, there's at least... This, to me... It's doing nothing for these guys. Like, they're not doing, like, big character work. They're just...
Yeah.
Like, and they've been up on this roster for, like, a year plus.
Well, who knows, like, what Gable, if he didn't get injured, what they were building up to, with these guys.
It's not like they were doing a whole lot when Gable was here. It was like all the focus was on Gable. Not so much these guys.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm sure they've had to change their plans as a result of Gable's injury, and I'm maybe that might have derailed these guys, but they're very valuable, and I suspect that they look to them for big plans in the future, not just yet.
Well, Cole then tees up a video of Nikki Bella, who had a fire lit under her after she was attacked by Liv Morgan. Like, okay, what was this fire? Well, she wants to have one more moment to prove to her fans and to her son of what she can do. And how is she going to prove this? She is entering the Battle Royal, and she's going to do whatever it takes to win. I'm glad Liv attacked her to light this fire under her that it's taken her weeks to decide where to channel that energy that was lit underneath her weeks ago.
I think they could have just been upfront with what happened, like she was set to get her revenge on Liv Morgan, but like nature did that for her, and maybe that's sort of a loose end that she can tie up later, but to somehow just make mention of it, and then to just make the logic jump to that attack really motivated me, and I'm going to enter a battle royal. Maybe that was a bit of a disconnect. But either way, they I guess they had to account for something. They've already announced her for the show. They need to have her fit somewhere, and a battle royal is probably her best bet at the moment. Maybe you could argue a more appropriate role for a Nikki Bella versus a singles match. But I also don't rule out her having another match in the future outside of Evolution.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't see her winning this thing, but you could set up some kind of angle in this match for her. I'm more interested in this battle royal of if they do anything substantive within the battle royal beyond just you set up your challenger for the end of the summer of what they can do. It just sounds like there's going to be a lot of people in this match, and I hope it's not just one of those just trying to spot someone in the crowded field, and it's just to get everyone on this show without a whole lot of purpose behind it.
It'll be like the Women's Rumble. You'll get moments, you'll get interactions. Those usually end up to pretty well. But you don't really have the benefit of separate entrances because everybody just comes in and starts a battle royal.
They'll probably give a few of them entrances, but the rank and file will, just already in the ring. Mm-hmm. Sami Zayn and Bron Breakker. Sami's coming out and he gets jumped by Karrion Kross with the dreaded pipe. Say it! Say it! I can't wait till this pays off with something. So Pierce is out. Everyone's concerned. Sami's like, I'm good. I'm going to wrestle. So Braun comes out to murder him. He calls Sami a bum and attacks the ribs, rips off the tape, hits a gut buster, and then Zayn manages a spear. Zayn manages to get a knee up and then stops the spear with a clothesline. Then he comes off the turnbuckle and gets speared in midair. The announcers are calling for the match to be stopped. Zayn rolls to the floor and Breakker winds up. He goes to sprint and Michael Cole screams, Sami, get the hell out of the way. And he is frightened for this man's life to end in front of his eyes. And Braun kills this guy on the floor. And this ever so hushed crowd begin to chant one more time.
Oh, man. You never want to hear that, right? As a babyface.
I mean, dude, that's the part here. Like, this is a super cool kick-ass babyface in Bron Breakker. Like, there's no reason to not love this guy because it's like he's so explosive and he's all the appeal that like you had that year, like Brock Lesnar running through everyone and they cheered him over the Rock. Like, it's just, he's this killer. Brings him in, spears Sami, and he wins in 5-11. So this of anything else on the show to me was the night of Bron Breakker. It's like went over a big babyface strong, had an excellent promo segment. Like, they are elevating this guy for something big.
And they're telling you that he is going to be the future leader of, or at least like he's going to be the future leader of the company, and therefore he's going to be in the future somebody ranked above a Seth Rollins, who is currently the leader of his faction. So
I almost hope it is like the idea of doing him and Roman Reigns. It's almost as like, I do not want to see this guy just get beat by Roman Reigns. Like I think Braun is
Bronson Reed's job.
Well, he kind of is at this point, but they are obviously like, to me, this was the focus of the show. This was the Bron Breakker show.
He's the Orton and the Batista of the faction.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What? Is he also Jindrak? The forgotten evolution member that
no, Bronson Reed is the Jindrak of the faction. So in this case, like, yeah, like Bron Breakker, just super cool heel. At the same time, like, even though Sami Zayn didn't come across the best in this segment, the audience isn't turning on Sami Zayn. Like, they still love Sami Zayn. They still will at other times against people not Bron Breakker feel bad for Sami Zayn. And they're using all this obviously to build towards the Karrion Kross rematch, maybe a future match against Bron Breakker in as well. But I also just like, I'm remarking at how far we are from, I think, the teases of Sami turning heel. I don't know if that so much like is in play anymore. Like, at least in his interactions with Karrion Kross, it feels very much like we've got a straightforward heel versus babyface now, rather than like, devil on your shoulder. I know you truly want to be a bad guy type of Sami Zayn. If you remember all the way back to like Jey and Sami sharing the ring together, and those long dragged out teases of like Zayn potentially attacking Jey while Jey was celebrating, it feels like we're completely removed from those teases now. At least I feel.
Well, this was also at least a temporary write-off of Sami Zayn, who they stated would be out indefinitely. So will be gone at least for the foreseeable future. Pierce is meeting with the War Raiders, and I swear to God, the War Raiders are telling Pierce at the tail end of their conversation that we eavesdrop on, we just want to be at the top of that list. Like, please show me this list. The tag team contenders. What is that list? Are we in the top 5?
I think
the New Day come in.
This is the list right here.
This is the list. Yes. Obviously, we decided let's go with the death motif tonight with both Liv and the New Day. So they come in with like veils on and they're in mourning. I'm not even making this up. They said they're mourning the tag division. I was like, we've been doing this for months. Welcome to the funeral. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They want a rematch, but the War Raiders disagree, using the New Day's own logic why the War Raiders couldn't get rematches. And then Becky Lynch approaches them, apologizes to the New Day for their loss, and glad they got rid of that scumbag Biggie as she walks out to the ring. So this was our tag division segment that can be contrasted to the SmackDown version that Aldis hosts every week.
Yeah, I think I'd rather be on SmackDown still. Yeah.
Becky comes out. she calls Lyra and Bayley losers after both lost last week and understands how she needs to be part of Evolution because she's such a big star. But I deserve to pick my opponent just like Io and Stratton did. There was no inconsistency here on the part of Becky Lynch. Like, why doesn't she get to choose her opponent if that's the precedent?
She's not a world champion.
Oh, I'm sorry. She only rules the continents.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
Okay. So she says that I could pick my opponent and points to a woman in the front row who she would beat immediately, and then accuses Bayley and Lyra of working together and that they planned this. So Bayley interrupts, followed by Lyra, and Lyra storms past Bayley, knocking into her, and gets into the ring. And it's Lyra who sometimes she's got to dial it down because this was just the very overacting version of Lyra, who starts calling her a lunatic. And Bayley says, I deserve the match. I don't need friends or partners. I just need the title. Lyra says that Becky attacked Bayley, and then it was Becky that volunteered to team with me at WrestleMania. I didn't call her. It's like, if that was the source of this misinformation, that probably should have been relayed to Bayley months ago. Just so you know, I didn't contact Becky. She contacted me.
Okay.
Well, she was pointing out, she's like, I haven't told you this before.
But ultimately, what broke the relationship was Bayley not texting Lyra. All right.
That's right. So that's on Bayley. You're right. Yeah. So she says that she calls Bayley and Becky two massive disappointments. Bayley explains, I was in the front row when you won your title. I watched your rise. Then I saw you lose the belt, and you raised Becky's arm like a little bitch. And they get into a big fight. It ends with a Nightwing to Becky, a Nightwing to Bayley, and she raises Becky's arm and stands tall. And thus, I think that sows the seeds that Lyra isn't winning this match on Sunday, but got the upper hand here.
Yeah, she's probably not winning. I mean, I thought this was a good segment. I'm enjoying the feud between all three, and I think like bending a Paul Levesque three-way build, they're finding good reason for each of them to hate each other for different reasons.
It's one of the few matches on Sunday that's got like a build behind it that's gone more than a week.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see Lyra in this scenario where, like, you know, we're seeing a bit of a soft heel turn here, and in comparison to Becky, she's still supposed to be a good guy, right? Like it's only via maybe elevated tensions that she's being a bit of a, you know, asshole to Bayley, but we're still supposed to be, she's kind of in the middle, basically, between, you know, Bayley and Becky in terms of heelness and babyfaceness. And I continue to feel like she is not certainly drowning next to these two, you know, longer tenured stars. In fact, I think sometimes she's standing out. And I continue to be impressed at her for that reason, because I honestly didn't see that in her.
Rollins is with Breakker and Bronson in the locker room. He says how proud he is of Braun, and Braun is asking, what should we do about Cross? There's going to be people thinking that I needed his help. I was like, what an interesting line to throw in there, but really like lines up with this Braun character. Like just that alone, that awareness, it gives some insight into this character, that it's like he can't be outshined, like he's a total jock. And it was just like I like the fact he at least acknowledged this, and he doesn't want Cross's help.
Oh, he's like a super insecure like backstage politician wrestler, right? I can't be outshined by this guy. I do find it interesting that like we have a heel here in Bron Breakker specifically targeting another heel in Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross, though, we maybe add a bit of an asterisk in that he is getting some tremendous babyface responses on the show, and it, you know, they've kind of made light on screen now of like the groundswell of support that Kross has received, and I guess I'm wondering if they're considering a face turn for Karrion Kross, which would be really odd with the Sami Zayn storyline that they've got going on. But I also don't think they would have Bron Breakker just mention Karrion Kross for no reason.
Well, Heyman comes in, says that Zayn's out of action indefinitely. Braun starts singing Sami Zayn's song in the style of the fans. And Reed says that Jey isn't going to be in good health either tonight when I'm done with him. So that leads us to our next match with Bronson Reed, Jey Uso. This one did not go long. Jey ends up knocking Reed to the floor, clears the desk, and super kicks Reed into an office chair, and then another super kick. And as he goes for the suicide dive, this was shot so well because the camera is just on Jey, and out of nowhere comes the office chair right into Jey as he is mid-dive. And there is never a time in this WWE production that a flying office chair off camera is not going to be fun. And it was here. DQ finish in 3:15, and then 2 tsunamis onto Jey Uso. And this constituted a win, as they would state that the Seth Riders are 2 for 2 tonight.
Yeah. Well, I guess their goal is to just take these guys out, and office chair did it. Would you rather take a steel chair to the head or an office chair to the head?
The office chair.
Yeah, I might take the office chair too. Like it's the impact is spread around.
It's cushioned
rather than just one spot.
It's not that bad as long as the leg doesn't
it's heavy,
cut you or anything like that. Like it's okay. Yeah.
When are they going to brand this office chair?
Tables, ladders, and office chairs. I'm ready for it.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
TLOC.
Activation right there.
You know what? If ever there was a time to present your premium live event based off of office chairs.
Good ad rates. So you really want to drive those ratings.
Very good.
LA Knight does a video addressing Seth Rollins, reminding us that they have a match on Saturday. He says, "You've got a lot of paying to do because you're in debt. And I came back 1 week after taking 3 tsunamis. So Jey better be back next week, or else he's been outed by LA Knight. He's not recovered enough." He says, "I'm not coming to take your briefcase, but I'm going to make it a permanent part of you." He's either going to put the briefcase up his ass or attach it to his head, which has now made this match more intriguing if one of these outcomes is done on NBC.
Okay. All right.
It's going to make the briefcase a permanent part of Seth Rollins.
I'd like to see him try.
And then some editor was tasked with working with a creative team member, like, okay, we need something with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Okay, let's go on cage match. How many matches have they had? Okay, Io beat her in the Mae Young Classic. Perfect. Io beat her in NXT. Then Rhea beat her on this random house show in 2019. That doesn't count. So she's also lost on the main roster. She lost at WrestleMania, but Bianca took the pin. It's fine. She hasn't beat her in a singles match. We've got our story, and that's what they had here. So they drew on some old footage here, and we've got Rhea Ripley trying to be able to get her first non-house show singles match victory over Io Sky, with due respect to Visalia, Florida in December of 2019.
Visalia. Those people should be considered very lucky to have witnessed something that really did not exist. So this has been consistent, I think, with what they've been telling us. Like, Io is like the one person that Rhea can't beat, and I'd love to see them continue that.
This is, in theory, the main event of this show on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would not say that. I mean, it was like they weren't even on the show tonight. I don't know. It's
true.
Like it didn't.
Yeah, I wonder why. Why weren't they on?
There
the
might
show?
not have been time. We got to promote 2 shows, and we got to do El Grande Americano and Dragon Lee. Like we've got our priorities here. So that's our next match here. So we have Ludwig Kaiser under the mask, and it's Graves. So this is pretty much just your backdrop for Cole and Graves to do their comedy together. Graves also denies that Giant Machine was Andre or that Dusty was the Midnight Rider. And so none of them are calling out that this is Ludwig Kaiser. Although Cole would say, "Man, those blue eyes look familiar."
Sure. Yes. Well, you don't
so
want to.
You don't have the dynamic of the Gable character where Cole's like calling out who it really is. It's a semi-mystery, I guess.
I mean, I don't think they want to reveal the entire puzzle on week 1. I think we're going to follow Cole in his sort of investigation, and he will slowly, as the weeks progress, realize who this might actually be.
Yes. The new drama is that this is not Chad Gable. That's Cole's new thesis. So Cole tried to get an interview with him during the break. And then Lee, for the last like minute or two, Lee got to like showcase, which he doesn't often get to, hit a Liger bomb out of the corner, went for Grande's mask, then did the Shibata style drop kick in the corner. And then after a double stomp, hits a Tope Con Hero and dives off the top where Grande strikes him with the loaded mask and wins in 9 minutes and 22 seconds.
Yeah. You know, week one here, I mean, I thought it was fun. I thought Kaiser was very amusing, like doing a bit of comedy here and speaking in another language at Dragon Lee. Does it have the same appeal or even like, I think, I don't know, interest as like with Gable doing it? That remains to be seen. I'm also curious to see how they roll in like the rest of American Made into it. Will the matches be as strong? Probably not as like good as the Gable ones. Not to say this was bad or anything at all, but maybe just not as special as the Gable ones. But
he's missing a spark that Gable brought to this character.
But it's only the first week, right? So
it is.
You know, we still wait to see. Something you really notice about like I guess both two guys doing the same mask gimmick is how straight Ludwig Kaiser's posture is. Very impressive.
Yeah, he's probably does a lot of like wall sits and works on that.
Maybe.
That spine. Heyman meets with Penta, and Penta calls him out for trying to speak Spanish here, trying to appropriate his language, and Braun warns Penta, who walks off.
Is that appropriation?
Well, he was. Like,
I mean, or is it just speaking his language? Isn't that?
Well, I don't think he was doing it in a honorable fashion. I think he took it as mocking his language.
Did he think Hangman was appropriating?
In
Arena Mexico?
We don't know. We don't know what his answer.
No, that was too good to be appropriation.
This Stephanie Vaquer video, it literally said, "I've arrived to dominate, and I will be in the Battle Royal."
Yeah, I guess it feels like, hey, like they're working Sunday. We don't want to have them on the road this much, right? Let's just give her the night off.
Gunther comes out to promote night one of this weekend, and he says, and Cole does note it's Goldberg's final match. He did mention that they had the right crowd for this final segment because they are immediately chanting for Goldberg before he's even pulled up. Gunther says that he's been verbally abusing Bill and he's done nothing about it. So I assume he's afraid. And then we cut outside the arena and up pulls Goldberg in one of his cars and just screeches up and pops in, and this place is going nuts. He comes out, does his full entrance, and he just stares down Gunther. The whole crowd is chanting, "Holy shit." Gunther goes to talk, and in the best way possible, Goldberg just swats this microphone down. I mean, what a perfect metaphor for this guy's career. Swatting the microphone down and not doing any talking bullshit.
He didn't put on a blonde wig, didn't punch through any
missed opportunity
glass windows.
Here. Yes. Dares Gunther to strike him, and as Gunther winds up, gets dropped with a right hand. Gunther is staggering to his feet. They tease the spear, but Gunther rolls out, and Goldberg just yells at him, 5 days. This was great. I thought this was one of the better Goldberg segments they've done for a lot of some of these like quickly put together matches that they built up. They had a crowd that saw Bill Goldberg as a big superstar, and late in the show too. Like I thought this segment really worked well. It's kind of the only thing they have really promoted for Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you just did a big, complete look at his entire career, John. But like, maybe you could say better than me. But I have always felt like the lesson that we've learned from Bill Goldberg is less is always more.
Every time, and not that I think he's like that. He can't talk, but it's very obvious when he is just going out there and he can be himself and speak like himself versus times when he would just be given stuff that was just not to his voice at all. And this was a perfect Goldberg segment to book like this. Very simple. And that's what the audience wants. Like they don't want this guy reinventing the wheel.
He doesn't need to cut a 20-minute promo because he talks via his physical charisma. and it comes through with just the way he pulls up in the car and does the walk, which looked perfectly fine. Like
he looked a lot better than he did his last appearance, where he was really struggling. Just like he was like walking out almost with a limp. He was walking a lot better here, and this is. Like when this guy, whatever you want to say about Bill doing these matches at 58 and these big matches, like this guy works his ass off preparing for these matches. And I'm sure he's put his body through hell this last 5-6 weeks to get ready for this 5 to 10 minutes on Saturday.
Yeah, like to me, the Goldberg experience is seeing him walk, okay? Seeing him walk from the back to the front and then just be intense as hell. And he did that. Like Gunther really like sold well for Goldberg in this segment, doing very little, but just like seeing a man as big as Gunther, like almost like back up and then like, cower away in as like, as sort of like a non-cowardly way as possible, I thought really, really worked. So very good use of Goldberg, I thought.
And it sets up at the very least, like it's a very interesting match to book on Saturday of how you do this and, Gunther ultimately keeping the title and how you position Goldberg. It's also like Goldberg, he's fighting for revenge for how his family was embarrassed by Gunther. Like there's a lot they have to accomplish with this and leave this audience in theory, happy. Like, you want to do a final spear, a final jackhammer. I am interested to see how they put this one together.
Yeah.
And then they ran down both nights of Saturday night's main event and Evolution. We learn of Zarya and Sol Ruka's involvement in the 4-way tag title match. During one of the breaks, which you probably missed, we got Jackie with Maxine and Natalya with Tozawa. And both women are in the Battle Royal. And they explain they will work together until the end. And Jackie tries to stir the pot, asking what will happen if it comes down to you two at the end of the Battle Royal. And God bless these two. They tried to answer this as though that had a 1% chance of happening. That I don't think the Battle Royal will come down to Maxine and Natalya at the end, fighting for this title shot. And then we had Penta and Seth Rollins in the main event. Penta immediately attacks with a super kick and ends up coming off the barricade with a Rana, stopped a pedigree, and lands a Tope Con Hero to Seth, and caught him with something here because Seth was cut over the right eye. And I don't know if you were watching live at this point, but during the commercial, Seth realizes he's cut, and I don't know exactly what he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically goes, "You made me bleed my own blood, you bitch." And he just said it with the most annoyed tone here, "You bitch." And then we come back from break, and I thought these two worked really well together. We had Rollins at one point catches him on his shoulders and pretty much has to deadlift him up, squatting him on his shoulders here. This guy's ridiculously strong for someone that you do not, it's a CrossFit muscle.
Guy with knee injuries too.
Yeah, that's a great point. So he hits a frog splash, only gets a 2 count. Again, there were deafening CM Punk chants mixed in throughout this match. He avoids the stomp, and then after a head scissors, Penta hits the Penta driver for a near fall. Then he goes for the sacrifice, but Rollins avoids, hits a buckle bomb, and Penta pops out of the corner after the buckle bomb to hit a Mexican destroyer, and Rollins grabs the rope, breaking the cover. And as he goes to, this was a very creative finish, he goes to lift him for the fear factor, and as Rollins' head comes up, he hits him in the groin with his head, the back of his head, and leads to a stomp and wins the match. I thought
to Roman doing the low blow on the.
It was when he would do the kick out with the forearm.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was one of Penta's better performances. I think that both of them, outside of Rollins getting busted up here, I thought this was a really enjoyable main event, and they had a great crowd.
I did too. It's one I do want to see them redo on a bigger stage on a pay-per-view, because I think there's an even much stronger match here between the two. I like the match. I almost felt like I got my expectations a little too high, because seeing this combination on paper just makes you think about what these two are completely capable of. For a TV match, I thought it was a very strong match. For me, a little bit hurt by the show long story they were telling, where the Seth Riders have kind of established that wins and losses don't matter. What matters is hurting your opponent by the end of all of this. So I wasn't really so much into like the near falls because like, oh, win and loss and it doesn't matter. You saw, Bronson Reed just like, bail out of the match just to beat their opponent up. But it was an enjoyable main event. Yeah.
And then Heyman called on Reed and Breakker, but LA Knight runs into the ring from the crowd, hits a blunt force trauma to Seth, and then runs away as Cole has to somehow vomit out the start times for each night, which have different start times of 8 o'clock Saturday, 7 o'clock Sunday. Cole, God bless the man, but just way too, it perfectly encapsulated.
And different platforms.
And different platforms. You're right. And then he's like, those are the Eastern start times. And then, dude, I never want to watch a show where you have to promote. Like, I understand you got to do it for SummerSlam and Mania, but man, like having to promote two very separate cards like they did tonight, like it did feel, it would have been a lot more straightforward if we just had one show to build up. But that's the position they put themselves in.
So Evolution is Peacock? Right?
Yes. Yeah. Just your normal PLE.
Right. And
Netflix internationally.
Okay. But so Canadians get everything except Saturday night's main event, which we still have to rely on YouTube for?
YouTube in Canada.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
That's 8 o'clock Eastern on Saturday and 7 o'clock. Okay. So All In, we know the buy-in is at 1 o'clock Eastern on Saturday, the pay-per-view at 3.
Mm-hmm.
I can't fathom they're going to go past 8 o'clock. They can't do a 7-hour broadcast.
Sure they can. Are you kidding me? Of course
they can. I know they can.
Of course
Will they? Will they, Way?
Well, at the very least, I think a press conference will probably go until 8 o'clock.
Okay, well, the press conference, they can do as much. I've cut out the press conferences from my viewing.
My heart says no, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they went past 8.
I hope for their sake they do not. That's just, I don't care how much great wrestling you have. That's too long.
Well, just to remind people, the way we're going to cover is we are going to be covering All In live right after it concludes. So once AEW, once the main event ends, we will be going live at youtube.com/postwrestling. And then on Sunday, after WWE Evolution, we will be talking about both Saturday night's main event and Evolution on Sunday.
Yes, we'll go through both the WWE shows on the separate night on Sunday. So we're going to break them up that way. And yes, be live right after All In Texas here on the YouTube channel for both nights. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and be here for Saturday night and Sunday night. Spend the weekend with John Pollock and Wai Ting. Is there anything better?
Nothing in life.
All right, we're saying goodbye to you on YouTube, but don't worry, folks on the Post Wrestling Cafe, we're just getting started. We've got some feedback to get to, and Wai's going to tell us his deepest, darkest secrets, all of that and more coming up here at forum.postwrestling.com.